Hello there everyone, my name is Chris. You cannot see me, but I am the Man Collects, and we are here to do a little action figure review. Before we get into that though, if you do enjoy this video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up and let YouTube know that. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing to the Man Collects. If you do, make sure you turn on the bell for notifications. You'll know when new content drops. If you go to the description of this video, you'll see a link to my Instagram, so check that out, head over there, give me a follow on Instagram, or send me a message should you choose to. Alright, our social media pleasantries are over, and we are here to take a look at one of the hot new Gamerverse 2-packs from Marvel Legends. This one is a Target exclusive. It is Psylocke versus Thanos. The retail value on this, the retail price, is $59.99. It's showing up in Target stores now. Every now and then, it shows in stock to order on the app. You just gotta check that, guys. This thing has been selling like crazy. It seems like a lot of people were super excited for the Jim Lee, I guess, version of Psylocke. I don't really know the history of the Marvel Legends to know she's had very many action figures of her with this look, but I know a lot of people have been after that figure there for sure. I think I'm one of the few ones that wanted this 2-pack for Thanos. I'm a huge fan of Thanos, especially from the 80s and 90s comic book era and stuff, so when this came out I knew I wanted it because of him. Okay, if you watch my videos, my reviews, you know how I do. We're going to look at our packaging first, and then we'll take the figures out and look at them. So you got to look here at the packaging. I like these. They're visually appealing, in my opinion. You got the old, you know, I guess digitized or pixelated look here on the Psylocke versus Thanos. You got your Gamerverse label up here for Marvel. You got your Marvel Legends insignia, your legalese stuff over here about choking hazards, all that, you know, not so fun stuff. Recommended for ages 4 and up, and of course it's made by Hasbro. And then you got your window there, you can see your figures, and check that out. Psylocke comes with way more accessories than what you get with Thanos. You just get him, and then you got a snapping hand down there with the Infinity Gems, mind you, not the Infinity Stones, based on this version of Thanos. So, top of your box, you got your Gamerverse branding on there. One thing I think is just a neat little thing on here, you got your figures on each side. Well, depending on which side of the box you turn it to, you've got Psylocke's branding on that side. And then where Thanos is on the other side, there you go. You got a little Thanos face there with a picture of the figure and then his name on there. Bottom of the box, all the legalese. One thing I do want to show you though, there is your barcode. If you want to screenshot that and have your Target scan that, maybe they can tell you if they have any of these in stock or if any of them's coming if you haven't tracked them down yet. Here on the back, you just got a little bit of images here, kind of based on what the video game used to look like with your life bars and stuff up there. You know, they got some homage on here to some of the other 2-packs. You got a Wolverine and Silver Samurai 2-pack that's up for pre-order. And then you got a War Machine Omega Red, which is actually, that 2-pack is showing up in Walmart stores right now. But again, I like the packaging. I think it's fun. It's a throwback to those old Capcom fighting games. You got a little bit of a synopsis up here. I'll let you read that if you want to. You can pause it. But as far as our box, let's get done with the boring stuff here. Let's get down to what everybody, including me, wants to see. Let's get these two out of the box and let's take a look at these figures, and we will start with Psylocke. Alright my friends, here we go. We do have Psylocke out of the packaging. Let's take a look first at the accessories that she does come with. Now you do get some extra hands with Psylocke. She comes with 3 extra hands. Not extra sets, just 3 extra hands as you see here. You've got one here, open palm or open hand. Now one thing I can see right from the bat, the paint apps on that is not the best quality. There's a little bit of the purple bleed over on the fingers there, which, I mean, it's not a huge deal, but, you know, it's kind of a little bit like a detail. You can see there on the purple, there's some flaking there around the hand and some of the hand paint bleeding onto the purple. So that's kind of a little QC issue there from Hasbro, and you can see there again on the palm of the hand the same thing. So it's not horrible, but then again it's not perfect. But the biggest thing that kind of detracts, and it's more visible here looking at my naked eye than it is on the camera, but there's a lot of bluing in between the fingers and stuff there where that is bleeding over, or purple, whatever you want to say there. But as far as the hinge joint, good and loosened up out of the package as far as that goes. Now she does have a couple of these hands here you can use with the psychic stuff that she comes with. Again, these, I don't see a whole lot of the bleed over on them, but you do have, look at that. Look how chippy the paint looks right there. I mean, that's just kind of crappy. I don't know, I kind of gets on my nerves a little bit there, especially there where the fingers are going through. I mean, I get it. It's not a high, I don't know, it's $60. I mean, it's $30 a figure. I mean, that's pretty high price for a 6-inch action figure. So you got a little bit of issues with that. And this one, the hinge joint on it, again, very limber there out of the package. As far as putting that on there, not having to soak it or anything like that. Same issues on this one. She's got a purple thumb. Again, looking at it through my viewfinder here, it's not coming through, but I can really see it here looking at it with my naked eye. And again, you can see more chipping and stuff there around the paint, around the top of the finger. It's just not very even as far as that goes for her gauntlets or whatever you call that little thing that covers her hands there. But one thing I will say, the hinge joints, good and loosened up here out of the package, so if you try to pose it, you're not going to have to do much limbering up with those. That's always a good thing. Alright, let's look at our other head sculpt here. You got the serious face that's on her. You got more of, I guess, an aggressive face here. So there you go. I mean, the head sculpt looks good. I mean, I don't see a whole lot of issues. You got a little bit of stuff in there. It's got a little bit of dust on it. I took it out of the box. I apologize for that. But I like how you had the purplish look here on the inside. And then you got the black with the purple running through it there on the outside. I mean, that's how her hair looked when they used to draw her back in the day in those games. But as you can see, the paint on that, I mean, it looks pretty good to me. I don't see a lot of chipping. If you look at the head sculpt, you don't see a lot of overspray or anything on that like we saw on the hands. I don't see any of the purple or the black protruding onto the face, and don't see any of the face coloring there getting out into the hair. And again, I apologize for those little shiny things there. It's just on it where I got it out of the packaging. Her eyes, again, they're good and centered and even, and not a lot of flaking or anything or miscoloration and all of that. So that head sculpt there looks good in my opinion. She does come with some of her little psychic things here. We'll start with what will be one of my favorites. This kind of, to me, is going to be like her psychic blade she used to make back in the comics. It'll clip on her hand there. Almost like a little knife projection coming off over there as far as radiating her psychic powers. And then you have these, which go into her hands. And if I can find it here, it's kind of hard to see, but right there, if it'll focus in on it, you can see there's a clip. That will clip on her wrist to help hold it on her hand. If you look at the back of the box here, you can see how they've got them on there where it clips on her wrist, like, you know, she's got her powers radiating off of her hands as she's fighting. So that is kind of cool. These are really done well. They're soft rubber, but, you know, they hold her shape pretty good, so you can see they're not flexing out of contention or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. And then once again, if I can get it to zoom in, right there you can see the clip where it will clip onto her wrist. The other one looks about the same. It's just made for the other hand. And again, right there, you got your clip where to clip onto her wrist. Same way as the other one does. Same type of material, same type of coloring on that. The last accessory that I think is kind of a cool homage. This is made to go on her, cover her face. If you read the X-Men comics back in like the 80s, maybe, I can't remember when she had this look, probably the earlier 80s, before it got up to the Jim Lee version of the X-Men, she had a mask that looked like this. You know, kind of her little helmet thing was shaped like that for the classic Psylocke before she went to the ninja assassin look. So that's kind of a throwback to that. I do like that. You know, that would go, you know, here over the face as far as getting it clipped on there and staying. So that's a pretty cool little throwback. I like that. Now, accessories are out of the way. Let's get them out of the way so the camera doesn't try to zoom on them, and let's take a look at Psylocke. Here we go with the action figure. You can see there that head sculpt looks like it's done very well. Same as the other one. I don't see a lot of paint issues as far as that goes with the head. Well, I'm going to take that back. Right there you can see a little bit of smudging inside of the bang or whatever that is. You can see a little bit right there on top of her head. So a little bit of paint imperfection on that. It's not huge. And maybe a little bit, it might have came off, I can't tell. But that one little smudge right there, you can see a little bit overspray or whatever you want to call it on the paint. And there you go with the rest of the head sculpt. The rest of the hair there, though, very well colored. You almost get a Morticia vibe out of that hair. Now, one thing you can see here on top of her shoulders, you got a lot of bluing and a lot of purpling right there coming off the color of her outfit. So that's a little discoloration compared to the rest of the arm and the shoulder. You can see that plain as day, I think, on the camera, what I'm talking about with that. I mean, is it a huge deal? No, it's an action figure. I don't expect it to be perfect, but for $60, that kind of sucks, especially for one that a lot of people were looking forward to with the Psylocke figure. As far as the rest of the paint apps, you look on her arm, you know, you do have a little bit of discoloration here in between the bands on the arm. It's not as bright as the top part up here. It's kind of like the same plastic color as you see here on her shoulder, where some of that overspray is at. So yeah, little disappointing on that. The hands look to be the same way as the other hands we saw. You know, it's kind of a little bit of a fading and stuff on those as well, like we saw on those extra hands we looked at the beginning. And then down here on her hiney, you know, her butt cheeks are a little bit different color than her legs, but it's not as bad as up here on her shoulders that you can see. So, you know, her got a little bit of stuff going on there with a little bit of paint issues. You can see some chipping. you know, some of the yellow or the skin color tones there through the stripes on her legs. So it's not perfect is what I'm getting to. If you're expecting that, you might want to stay away. Just based on this one, I don't know if they're all like that or not, but this one's got a few little issues like that on it. Now let's take a look at articulation. As far as your head, you're not going to have a whole lot because of this hair, so you might get a little bit better articulation with the hair like this where it's more to the side. But you know, as far as turning her head to the side, she'll go about that far, and then about that far again on the other side. Looking down, she's got a pretty good downward motion, but now looking back, you're limited to about right there just because of that hair piece. So there's not going to be any Exorcist 360. Well, I don't know. Yeah, never mind. You can do the Exorcist 360. You just got to whip her hair around her shoulders there if you want to do that. As far as side tilt, you got a little bit, not a whole lot there for cocking her head side to side. You can see here on her arms, you do have butterfly joints for the shoulders, so you can't, where she's got the ninja, I kind of like that. You can get her into some really good, you know, Spider-Man-ish pose, you know, as far as that goes, which does fit her character. So that's kind of nice. But that skin color there, guys, that is really off, as it is down here, like I said, on her hind end and her hips too. So that's a little disappointing. All right, let's see how our shoulder joints are doing. Most time on these female figures, you got to work them a little bit. So as you see there, they're pretty good out of the box, getting them up that far. You do have a bicep cut on both arms there, so that will spin around. You got double pinned elbows, so you can bend them all the way up like that, which is really, really cool. The way she holds her psychic knife, that's going to look cool with that accessory on there. And then bending them down, of course, they go down that far with no hyperextension. And then again, if you want to, you know, you can rock the arm around there 360, you know, on the shoulder joint if you need to do that for any kind of dynamic posing. For your wrist, they do spin all the way around. You do have hinges in these as far as bending the hand in. This one doesn't go as far as the other one does, so you got a little bit limited with this one as far as it goes. It's got the up and down hinge on it. This one, though, has the hinge right there at the bottom of her palm, so you can... Actually, it doesn't have a whole lot of flexion on there the way it's made. I mean, you can get it in about like that and then bend it back. Well, that's got pretty good. About like that. Alright, as far as her bending at her torso, she will rock back again. She goes back about that far. Not a whole lot going on there. As far as bending her forward, it'll go about like that. So not a lot of range of motion there. Kind of surprising. We do have a hinge there in the torso, though, which I'm looking at this part right now as she moves down right under her jugs, and then she has the torso hinge there, which you can use to flex back a little bit more and then bend it down like that to get a little more range of motion with that for posing her. Alright, let's get her arms up out of the way and take a look at how the legs are. Can she do the Van Damme split? She's a ninja. She should be able to, but she can't. It goes about that far, and then you get resistance and it stops. She does have thick legs. That's probably why. And then they made her hind end thick too, so you got a lot of plastic there getting against each other. They won't really allow it to kick out to the side to the full extent, which kind of sucks for she's a ninja character, but still, you're going to be able to get her in some dynamic poses that way. You do have double knees, so she can get up and almost kick herself in the hind end about that far, but again, you got such thick plastic in here, it's kind of hard to get it up much farther than that. There's no hyperextension of the leg. As far as how far she can stand and kick straight out, about like that, and then taking it back, you can kick it back a little bit there, but it gets to look a little unnatural there, you know, when the way that joint's made. Her ankles, she has no boot cut, but she does have a thigh cut, as you can see on both legs. You can turn the thighs in and out there as far as getting her in different poses that way. Again, no boot cut or anything there. The ankles do not rotate on the pivot joint down there, but you can bend them down about that far, and then they bend up about that far. But as far as rocking them side to side, you can, but it doesn't feel natural. I'd be afraid of breaking that joint if you try to do that. And honestly, I don't really know why you wouldn't. But there you go with Psylocke, guys. Let's try to stand her up here and see how she does standing now that I've messed around with it a little bit. She's not wanting to stand up too good. Oh, there you go. Had to bend her feet a little bit. And I'll have my little spinny around here at the end. But that is the Psylocke figure. Again, let me know what you think about this, guys. You picked it up, or already got it, or going to pick this up later on. But now, let's get the Mad Titan out. Let's take a look at Thanos. Alright, everybody. Here we go with everyone's favorite Mad Titan, Thanos. I gotta say, just getting this out of the plastic, getting it out here, I really like this figure. I was very excited for this, so I think it's going to meet up to the expectations that I had. Now, some people have said this is just a repaint or retooling of the Thanos figure that came out, the Infinity Gauntlet Marvel Legend, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I've got that one, never took it out of package. I cannot say if it is or it isn't. But let's take a look at this thing. We'll take a look at the only accessory he comes with, and that is your Infinity Gauntlet. And there you go with the Infinity Gems. And then again, back in the day, if you're not familiar with the actual comic book of the Infinity Gauntlet back from the early 90s, they were not Infinity Stones as they were in the MCU. They were gems. So it's got the look from that. If you play those old fighting games, you can collect the gems through it, especially Marvel Superheroes. I know you collect the gems to get through it. And then at the end, Thanos puts the gauntlet together and you got to fight him. The hinge joint on this thing here, as you can see, it's very loose and ready to go right out of package. So no worries about breaking that thing if you do switch the hand out. But that is your Infinity. I didn't show any of the paint quality on that. I'm getting a little too excited. But take a look there, guys. As far as this one, I can't see a lot of bleed over there. And you got some, I like how you get the kind of the, I don't know what you call that, metallic look to the gems. So they kind of look like, you know, they are actual gems, not just flat plastic. But I don't see any bleed over there. You do have a little paint smudge there on the end of his finger. And you can see that little black smudge there. I don't know how that got on there, I guess from the packaging. But there you can see the one on there on his thumb. You got good paint apps on that one as well. And it looks like that one little smudge there on his finger. And I might be able to clean that off if I try. That right there seems to be the only little paint flaw I see so far on this thing. So let's lay that down and let's take a look at our Mad Titan, Thanos. Let's start with our head sculpt. Head sculpt looks good. I don't see any blemishes or anything on the face. Even the gums there on the teeth. I mean, look at that. There's not really a lot of bleed over or purple or anything on his teeth. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. You got a lot of dark coloring there around that light colored teeth. The red eyes look sweet as well. I just think that's an awesome Thanos head sculpt. You know, you got your classic Thanos costume on here. Now, he's got the bigger, taller, I guess, eye visors, helmet, whatever you want to call it here, based on his look from some of the video games. I wish it was a little more of the smaller comic book style, but again, it's not based on the comic for these figures. It's based on the look in the video games. But as you can see there, I think the head sculpt looks pretty good. You got pretty good paint apps all the way around on that and his shoulder pads. Coming down to his back here and looking here where his gauntlets do meet the purple, I don't see a lot of problems there as far as paint. I don't see a lot either meeting up to the back here and then off this little skirt thingy, which is soft rubber, by the way. It does flex a little bit down to his legs. And then the same thing with this arm. And now his gloves on both of these hands, this would be where the gauntlet would be. He does not have the gauntlet, so they are plain. So the only gauntlet you get with him is the snapping finger there, or snapping hand for the extra accessory. Same thing here. The yellow line matches up pretty good there, going down his chest, down to his stomach, and to his belt buckle, and the little thing here on the little, whatever little skirt flap thing is. Don't see a lot of problems with the paint as far as that goes on there, having any kind of issues or scuffs. Down to the legs again. They did well on this one, I gotta say. If it is a reuse, it's a reuse, but if not, they did good with the paint and everything on this Thanos figure. Even down to his legs, I think it looks pretty sweet. Even on the hinge joints there, you don't have a lot of discoloration, or a lot of times you'll have a lighter or darker color plastic on your hinges, so you don't have it there on this, which is cool. Alright, let's take a look at his articulation. Let's start with his head. Let's see, looking down. You don't get a lot of downward motion. That's about it, which is kind of looking forward. Now, looking up, he does have some upward motion there with his head, so that's pretty cool. He can look up a little bit there as far as that goes. You know, the way it's made, it's going to go all the way around. You got tilting. I love that. I love how you can tilt the head. So you got good range of motion as far as that goes. So that's pretty cool to give him more of a menacing, you know, look as far as that, I think, from to be able to turn his head side to side. Now his arms and shoulders, let's see here. I'm assuming they're not going to go up too far because, oh Lord, he came out of socket. Oh, I thought I broke it, guys. That made me nervous. Let's pop that back in. And you really can't take it much past here without them coming out. But then again, with these shoulder pads, the way that they're made, you wouldn't be able to take them up much farther than that anyways. So you got pretty good range of motion as far as that goes. You do have your bicep cut. You got elbows there, of course, turn as well to give more flexibility as far as posing his arms up. And you do have that, as you can see here, on both hands. His elbow joints, let's see, they're not double, of course, for a figure this big. You only got a single jointed elbow. But then again, as much plastic it's on here from the gauntlets up to his biceps, you're not going to be able to take advantage of a double elbow anyways. It'd just be wasted. And then again, you got that same articulation on this hand, so you can get his arms to bend up about that far. As far as bending them down, no hyperextension. They lock out to the sides. He does have hinges in his wrist. They'll go in about that much on the gauntlets and bend down about that much on there. And of course, you can turn his fist every which way you want to for 360s, and you got the same range of motion hinges there on that one. Alright, he does have a hinge here in the center, so we'll see how far he will lean back. He does go back pretty good there where he can lean up some more, and does double over pretty good if you want to make Psylocke kick him in the bread box there and make him hunch over. So you do have that where he can look down a little bit on somebody or pose like he's getting hit, whatever you want to do. You got some side to side motion there on him, but again, I don't like doing that for figures that have this rubber piece, because you leave him posed like that, I'm afraid it would warp that and make that look a little, deformed when you put it back into normal stuff. That's just a personal preference. Alright, let's get his arms up here out of the way. Hopefully that shoulder doesn't come off again. And let's see how far he can do a split. That right there is about as far as you're getting. He needs to do some Pilates or something to get a little more flexion in him there. But again, with these little side flares there and these bigger thighs, I didn't expect this to go out very far. So that's okay. Thanos ain't going to be doing any splits, so that's alright as far as that goes on the legs. You can see here you do have a thigh cut, so you can turn the legs both that way or all the way around if you want to, and help imposing him. No boot cut. I was kind of surprised. I thought it might have a boot cut on it. But you can see there, no go with that. Now you do have double hinges on the knees, but given the thickness of the plastic, it'll go up about that far. As far as coming back down, you get the regular position there and no hyperextension. His ankles have a little bit. You can see they'll go up about like that, and they will go down pretty good that way to get him that look if you want to make him look like he's flying or getting knocked up in the air with the uppercut or something like that. No side to side here on the boot cut. No side to side here on the ankles. You can roll them, a little bit there to get some posability, but I don't even know why you want to do that with him, unless you're trying to make it look like Psylocke broke his ankle or something. But kicking outward, again, it doesn't go up very far. He's just a bigger figure. It'd be hard to get him to do much with that. And then taking it down to the side, you get the basic there to his side, not much hyperextension. As far as that, guys, I think it's an awesome figure. I think the 2-pack is good, but let's pose them up here side by side and get them looking like they're fighting each other, and I'll give you some final thoughts on the Thanos and Psylocke Marvel Legends Game Reverse 2-pack. Here we go, everybody. We've got our Thanos and Psylocke posed up here. We'll kind of move them around here and give you a little bit of a 360. Hopefully they don't fall over on me. I don't know what you guys think, but I think going against the power of the Infinity Gauntlet, I'm thinking Psylocke here might be a little outmatched. She might can get some quick strikes on him there with her abilities, but at the end of the day, I think the Mad Titan might be able to take her. But let me know what you think about these two figure guys. As far as my personal opinion on these, I like the figures. The Psylocke figure is nice. She's got some issues as far as the paint apps on her, which kind of deters me a little bit on her. But the Thanos figure, if you're getting it for Thanos, it's $60 is still a hefty price to pay just to get one figure. But I think the Thanos figure looks great. He's very posable. I don't have him in the most stable position here. As you can see, I'm moving around. He's wobbling some on me. But Psylocke here, as you can see, she's holding that position very well. Very posable figure and looks awesome. Both of them look good. Again, the paint apps on Psylocke, I can't give it a full recommendation at $60. If you're a huge fan of the character, a huge fan of this look, and this is the only way you've got to get the figure, because if there is another figure of her, I'm going to go on a limb and assume it's probably expensive. So it might be the way you want to get that look for her if you're trying to do like a 90s Jim Lee looking X-Men team or something like that. But I like the figures, but again, just given the issue with Psylocke, I think around, and I guess where Thanos is bigger, I think around the $49 price point or $50 price point like we're seeing with the Omega Red and War Machine, I feel like that might have been a little more fitting here for these two rather than $69.99. I think they jacked that price up because they knew people were going to want that Psylocke figure. Let me know what you think about them in the comment, guys. That is going to do it for this one. Once again, you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing to The Man Collects. Turn on your bell for notifications if you do that. Go to my Instagram, check that out. Give me a follow. Send me a message should you choose to. Hit the like button if you did enjoy this review. And for now, that's all I've got for you. So I will see you the next time Man Reviews.